We have the red Isengard player RotWK versus the white Mordor player Zirael. Okay, it's a good matchup. It's a evil clash. May the more evil person win. Double slaughterhouse opening for the Mordor player and double furnace opening for the Isengard player. For everyone who was just tuning into the live stream, we have 1 minute delay in the stream. It's gonna be best of 7, as you can see at the top side of your screen. It's the finals of the winner bracket. It's not the grand finals yet, though. That's what's important. The tournament is not gonna be over after this best of 7. We will still need to determine the world champion of this event. 3 slaughterhouses into the orc pit. Into the tavern, of course. It's a brand new building added to the patch 2.02 version 9.0 beta. That's what we are using here. An Isengard opening with 3 furnaces. And we might see a work pit indeed. So it's gonna be work packs opening, which is a great counter to the Corsairs of Umbar. Gollum is lurking around in the map.
We must join with him, Gandalf. We must join with Sauron. It would be wise, my friend.
It would be wise, my friend. What's up? I'll kill you. What's up, my friend? Alright, Work Pit into the Uruk Pit opening for Isengard, and we will see the Corsairs of Umbar. They cost 350 each. They have been reworked a couple of times. They've been introduced into the game of the Tavern. I mean, they were already in the game, but you could only recruit them from the Haradrim Palace level 2 in the previous versions of the patch 2.02. Now they have a dedicated structure you can use to recruit them. And they are pretty strong, but they have been way stronger actually in the past. They were able to deal so much damage, while being extremely tanky and mobile. They've been tuned down since then because they were just too broken. And now we don't see them that often anymore, but still, here and there. And I think that's good for the Mordor faction. It gives you more diversity in your playstyle. You don't have to start always with the Orc Pit. Now you can have the chance to start with the Corsairs instead. So the age of Orcs is over. The era of the Corsairs has come. Okay, boys, so we will have Haradrim Palace coming up next. It's a great one more combo situation. You can combine the Corsairs with your Easterling, so you have great damage against buildings. You can keep your Corsairs protected against the Warg Packs and Warg Riders later on. You need to dodge the initial bomb damage, you see? Look, oh, he wanted to cancel it. He didn't shoot the bombs, but as he wanted to shoot them, it went on cooldown. So a very smart move here from RotWK.
Soon, Master Elf, you will enjoy the fabled hospitality of the Dwarves.
Alright, so of course, without the fire bombs, the Wargs have also the whole ability for more damage output. They will be able to win the 1v1 situation. It's just crucial that you dodge the incoming firebomb damage, which is not hard to do with mobile units. You need to be just preemptive. You don't want to dodge it after it's shot. You want to kind of predict the fire bombs, and then, when you can step aside, you can always win the 1v1 situation. One more Corsairs making it to the furnace. Remember, the fire bombs can also deal great amount of damage to the buildings, which, by the way, has been tuned down. It's not that strong anymore. They will be shooting the fire bombs. You can see doesn't deal that much damage anymore. It used to, bring it lower than 50% HP mark. And what is scary about them is also the pillage. And they draw so much attention and, put so much pressure on Isengard, who was, by the way, just able to creep the walk layer in the middle of the map. So we have now the Uruks and Pikemen. Remember, Isengard got a couple of buffs in this version, quite a lot of buffs actually to the Uruk pit. The Uruks now are cheaper, the Pikemen are cheaper, which is going to make Isengard's early weak game now way stronger. And remember, Isengard is already a very strong faction in the mid game with, devastation, industry, field of fire, so you can actually get quite rich. You are the wealthiest faction by far in the game. Mordor is also quite wealthy with the industry, of course, but not that strong eco-wise compared to Isengard. Lots of Warg Packs being sent forward. Haradrim Palace level 2 for the Haradrim Lancers. I was expecting to see a bit more Easterlings before that, but I think Zirael doesn't want to recruit too many of them. You can see the firebombs even chunking the Uruks. The Corsairs are also great, naturally great against the Pikemen. So when you deal with the Pikemen, you can definitely trample down the rest. Remember, the Warg Packs, they cannot trample. They're like a melee unit, pretty much like a wolf pack. They are good for harassment and also good against swordmen. Isengard is doing a phenomenal job. After the first couple of minutes into the game, we have 400 command points available for Isengard player RotWK. He has 5 power points collected after the Kree Bane opening for a debuff. He has the chance now to go for the Warchan, which, by the way, can stack now with the whole ability in the beta version we are using. And his opponent is down to 400 command points. He has barely any units remaining on the field. The early attack attempts kind of failed, and now he's forced to be in a defensive formation. This might be an early GG because Mordor is losing a lot of momentum. That's not something you want to find yourself in. There is no orc pit, no cheap units. Every unit, yeah, that's gonna be pretty much GG. Like a 5-minute game. Awe is popping off actually in the finals. He's been the favorite of this tournament because he was the winner of the previous tournament. It's a fast-paced game. It's about speed and tempo, and your first 2-3 pushes can be game-changing, game-winning, or game-losing. Alright, we have the white Isengard player Zirael versus the red Mordor player Avehave. He will be using the Great Eye of Sauron to scout upon his opponent. He will be able to scout the builder, who will be building up a Uruk pit. So no Warp pit opening, unlike Ave did in the previous game. And Ave will eventually start with Orc pit, yes. So no Tavern, unlike his opponent. I think Corsairs, Ave doesn't like them anymore. He was telling me that he thinks they are now quite weak. And for that reason, it's going to be a traditional build order, boys. The Orcs. Gothmog was right. The age of Uruks is over. But I think this matchup was quite difficult for Isengard in the previous patches, because the Uruks, they are of course way stronger than than Orcs, but also way more expensive than Orcs. Orcs, they cost 80 each. They are by far the cheapest units in the game. And Uruks, they used to cost 5 times the amount. They used to cost 400, but it's a very significant buff now Isengard received with the change of the Uruks price to 350. Maybe it doesn't seem to be that big, but again, it's only on one unit, more than 10% cost reduction, which is quite big. And Isengard, in my opinion, needed that one. Orc pit number 2 into the Orc pit number 3. Would you look at that, boys? Would you look at that? Pikeman, so he's gonna creep this. Orcs, I mean, will he be defending himself? That's gonna be the big question. Remember, you can use the Orcs, even though they're not very strong, it's like a meatball. Like a orc flesh in front of a slaughterhouse to protect it. It's all about buying time. Mordor is not the strongest faction in the beginning of the game, but definitely one of, if not the strongest faction in the late game, and that's what you are trying to go for. You are trying to reach the late game power spike with industry, Black Riders, 2 Nazgûls, 1 Witch King, Mouth of Sauron, catapults, movement gears, trolls, attack trolls, drummer trolls. Long story short, you have a lot of options. Oh, that was close actually, but Zirael got the money. That's good. That's actually very good. Okay. He's saying, oh, look, some poking going on in the chat. 400 command points available for both the players. Mordor is, of course, recruiting the Orcs, and the good thing about the Orcs is not only about their price for 80, but also their command points for 30 command points only. Remember, the Uruks, they cost double the command points. So basically, you can get for each Uruk, command point wise, 2 Orcs, but money wise, you can get even 4 Orcs. So 4 Orcs, money wise, 2 Orcs, command point wise. So you can basically outspam your opponent big time, even when you have the same command points. And normally, I always say quality beats quantity, but in this matchup, for Mordor, it's not gonna be this same thing. Isengard is creeping. Mordor wasn't creeping anything yet. Isengard is actually kind of surprisingly playing quite passive. He's gonna face against 3 Orc pits. I think at some point of the game you will need to transition into the Warg Riders. Basically a trample unit that can deal with the massive amount of Orcs way faster. Yes, you can deal with them also with Crossbowmen and Urukai, but it will just take you too much time, and time is a luxury. You can't, you can't basically lose time for no reason. Crossbowmen, 2 of them, but in a melee fight you still shouldn't be. I see you, Isengard, going for Creepbane, which will not longer debuff the enemy units. I mean, it will debuff the enemy units, don't get me wrong, but it won't nullify their leadership bonuses. It's very important. It's like a buff to the Mordor faction against factions like Goblins and also Isengard, because this used to make them lose their leadership bonuses before, and in addition to that, debuff them as well. So this has been nerfed in this matchup specifically, especially at the beginning of the game. The furnace here will be taken down. Remember, I will also give you the combat experience, so you will get eventually a bit more experience. Let's see. Level 2.5, I'm assuming. Yeah, you see level 2.5. They used to only get, normally they would get only level 2. But now we have the Warg Riders, ladies and gentlemen. Mordor is getting free command points though, free map control, free early game. He's getting through the early game, which is the hardest part of the Mordor faction, pretty much for free. Not being punished for it, not losing anything until now, because Isengard is playing quite defensively. I don't know if this is the right approach to play this matchup. Remember, Zirael is already 1-0 behind. He was losing the matchup already the other way around. Nejazet, thanks for the subbing for the first time to the channel. Really means a lot. Thank you, good sir.
Nekaze just subscribed. Welcome to Beyond Standards.
Welcome. Thank you. And by the way, guys, we have a Twitch hype week from today until 11th December. So, you know, your subs are helping quite a lot. You can see at the bottom right side of your screen, like there's a level progress. And with each sub, we can get more and more levels. And each level is quite rewarding for me. It will also eventually make Twitch recommend this channel to more people. And we might hopefully be able to get more people to watch the games and also to get into the BFME community to increase the player size in future. So thank you very much in advance, especially Neja Z for the first time subbing to the channel. 450 command points against 550 command points. Mordor is doing a good job defending, that's good. The War Riders, they need to avoid fighting those Easterlings. They are of course a great counter. Mordor was able to creep this. No heroes yet, because you need lots of units, you know, to do what you are looking to do. Haradrim Palace level 1 only though. He has no lancers, there is no pressure on the crossbowman, so this push can actually be quite rewarding. Remember, the hole is chained, so it will stack with the War Chant, which is available for Isengard. In War Chant Creep combination is still a very good early fight potential. You debuff the enemy units, make them weaker, you make your own units stronger, which also means you will deal now not only 40% more damage, but even more, because you reduce the enemy armor. Beautiful trample. Will be eventually enough to save the furnace. That's good. But Mordor is too much map control, I think. Like, that's scary. Mordor is, of course, a very skilling faction. He will eventually also skip the War Chant and Tainted Land and try to reach to industry way faster. It's a huge army from Mordor. It's a huge army from Isengard too. Isengard was also creeping this trolley at the top right side. He will now be able to recruit the Black Orcs, which are nerfed in this beta. They used to cost 250, but now they cost 300 each. But it's still, you know, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. They're still cheaper compared to the Uruks. War Chant will be used. They are riding through them. That's going to be a big War Chant, I'm assuming. That's a huge army, boys. That's going to be a big fiesta battle in the game number 2. Will the Uruks win against the Orcs? Let's see. Are you feeling good, Shanks? Yes, I'm feeling good today, actually. Good. I was quite sick for a long time, but today, finally I feel better. Might also eventually hear the difference in my voice. You know, at least I'm feeling better. The furnace going down to the Easterlings. Big push incoming. The slaughterhouse here. The tower will be destroyed in a few seconds. There is just too much damage output. War Chant plus the hole means 65% more damage. Creepin is going to be used. And backline. They got slowed down a little bit before they got for a trample, but beautiful trample regardless. They can do this one more time. The Orc Archers clumped into one region. There comes the Tainted Land for the double buff. Tainted plus I. One is leadership, one is a buff. Remember, the Creepin doesn't nullify leadership bonuses anymore. That's very important, but it will make them... will make it useless though. You get the same debuff like your opponent gets the leadership, so you can, you know, still negate it, but you can't debuff them afterwards. The Orc Pit will be eventually destroyed by the Uruk Pikemen, but there is just too much defense. Easterlings, catapult expansion, towering up, actually building lots of towers. The Black Orcs pressuring from the top side. Isengard has to defend this level 2 furnace, so that's very important. I is buffing them, making sure that they are dealing more damage. And if we can destroy this level 2, it's gonna be quite big. You need to kill the Easterlings first. I'm assuming they deal way more damage compared to the Orcs, but look at their damage output, boys. Holy moly! That's some damage there. Orcs, you should not underestimate them. Isengard will summon the Wildman of Dunland. That's gonna be a big mistake to not go for Haradrim Lancers. You have nothing to trample. Mordor is losing, of course, map control, but I'm assuming he's gonna go for a hero. No, he's gonna call it, and Isengard will beat Mordor twice, back and forth, and we got ourselves a finals, ladies and gentlemen. The score is going to be 1-1 after the game number 2. We have the Red Dwarven player Avihavi versus the White Man of the West player Zirael, the White Tree, versus Dwarves, Aragorn versus Gimli, King Dane versus King Theoden. I don't know, Gloin versus Gandalf. When basically Mordor, Man of the West has of course way more heroes available compared to Dwarves, but that doesn't mean that quantity should beat quality. I think Gimli is capable of winning almost every single 1v1 situation when he's level 5. He's very, very strong. We shall see though. James, what is the best matchup in Rise of the Witch King on which map? I don't know, my friend. You know, it depends. It depends on so many circumstances. The best matchup, how to determine the best matchup. I like the good against evil matchups the most on any map, pretty much. Double farm into the barracks, into the soldier, and we will have 2 mineshafts, Hall of Warriors into the 3rd mineshaft coming up for Dwarves. Rallying Call has been picked. Remember in the Rise of the Witch King game, you basically have no random.
Soon, Master Elf, you will enjoy the fabled hospitality of the Dwarves.
Soon Master Human, you mean. Basically, when you pick random, your opponent will get the chance to see your faction in the loading screen. There is no reason to scout, which Dwarven faction can't anyway. Man can't either, because these 2 factions have no scouting abilities, unlike Elves, Goblins, Mordor. Ingmar has also no ability that can scout. Okay, so 2 mineshafts, 3 mineshafts into Hall of Warriors into the Pikemen. So let's talk about this matchup. Westwold is a good map. It's a quite big map. You can definitely make it eventually to the mid to late game in this map. Dwarves are gonna look for a all-out fight in the first couple of minutes into the game, which can determine the outcome of this game big time. So basically, you dealing crazy amount of economical damage can get you the win. You dealing no damage might lead you to a W, to lose. So you need to be kind of smart about how to do it. In a dream world, you want to bring your builder with you, so you can build a mineshaft during your push, and you can bring up more reinforcements every few seconds. You can build even a statue offensively, a well offensively, and you can camp in front of the enemy castle, which is quite hard to play against, because your guardians are way stronger compared to the soldiers. So Gondor will need a lot of stuff to deal with that. Okay, the mineshaft, he's gonna focus it down with the soldiers. The guardians are not able to attack it properly, and the mineshaft number 1 is going down. I think the soldiers got a rework, so now they have a little bit less HP, but their shield wall formation doesn't make them weaker anymore. Earlier patches, when you use shield wall, you would lose damage output. Now you don't, but you know, to compare this a little bit, to compensate this a little bit, they made the soldiers lose a bit more HP, which makes it easier to kill them when they are not using the shield formation. Archery range coming up next. I think the Gondor archers got buffed too, but the rangers got a little bit nerfed. I mean, not directly nerfed, but the upgrade to level 2 is a bit more expensive now. It used to cost 500 each, but now it will cost you 650, which is quite a big, you know, like more than 20% actually nerf to get rangers fast. Creep secured by men with the peasants. And that's gonna be the first push. 1 pikeman and 1 guardian into the rallying call. How much damage will this be able to deal? The enemy! Draw your swords. Okay, he's splitting up 3 soldiers. The pikemen, they have no chance. You have no disengage potential. You need to keep that in mind. And you can see if you are trying to run away, the enemy units will always catch up to you. That's the main weakness of the Dwarven faction. They are just too immobile. They are very slow. So your best bet is to make it to a spot without getting too much damage. And then when you get to deal damage though, you will hit like a truck. You can see even a few guardians were almost able to destroy this farm. I'm assuming this farm is going to be taken now. Look at their damage output. It's kind of nutty. This one is going to be protected. This push was actually defended very nicely by Zirael. He was being kind of prepared for this. He saw it kind of coming. That's really good. And he needs to make sure to destroy this mineshaft. There is another mineshaft at the bottom side. And we got to keep an eye on this mineshaft because they are going to be the most important thing in this matchup. Double Hall of Warriors into the Forge Work for the Battle Wagon sport. Battle Wagons are more like a sportive unit in this situation. They can offer you mobile leadership, which is something Dwarven faction needs the most. The mineshaft here will be demolished by Avi to get some money back. Guardians, they can smash those peasants, no problemo. And man has no vision around this area, so he will be able to see them coming now. The farm is almost destroyed. It's going to be important to demolish it in time. I still think that you will eventually need a stable. A stable that you can use to, you know, trample down the guardians. That will at least force your opponent to send guardians always with your pikemen. You can't send them solo anymore if there is a counter to that. Alright, Balindra, no problem. I got you. Okay. Big push. This has been taken down, it's good. 5 power points almost in the bank, 4 power points for Dwarves. The farm, he will be able to commit to that one, that's good. Nice clumping, nice damage output. That's good, man. Avi is now doing great work actually. Man is dropping down to 350 command points only. Dwarves are up to 600. It's a double command point differential. And for me personally, I will also say that like everybody I think sees the same way. Man faction is the weakest faction by now in this beta. That's what people are saying. I mean, Avi says that too because he's he's an expert player in this game. He knows what's up. can definitely win against anybody in this game. And when he says that man is the weakest, then it has to be true, right? What's up, Mustafa? Guardian strong, tanky. With charge attack, they're also fast. Farm is gonna be taken on. Look at the damage output, dude. That's like only a few Guardians that are able to destroy this farm in like no time. Again, when you can avoid the only weakness of this faction, which is the lack of movement speed, you can definitely get some work done. And look at this, man, non-stop pressure. I think the steeple was needed a bit earlier. Now it's a little bit too late, because this push is going to be quite hard to defend. Even though they have no pikemen included, but they have leadership, which is always active. It's hard for you to reach out to this battle wagon. Ave will make sure to protect this one. Hold ground stance is going to be very important. Otherwise, the battle wagon is going to single-handedly run it down into a pikeman, will get one-shotted. But as long as you can avoid this, which you can with the hold ground stance, then you should be in a good spot, you know? The beacons, they don't do much in this game anymore. They used to give you cooldown reduction on your abilities, on your power points, but now they give you only vision control, which is not really a big deal. And you know, you don't get really a huge advantage out of that. Maybe man could get it, because then you get vision against dwarves. It's gonna be quite important. But yeah, there comes the big push. Gondor Knights can still trample, but you can see with the leadership they get from the battle wagon, even without the rallying call, now they will have even the buff, double buff. You can see they are quite tanky. They also heal up constantly during the fight.
You have my sword.
GOG3, thanks for the gifted sub, my friend. Really means a lot. Thank you.
Gok3 just gifted 1 subs. What a pirate.
Thank you very much, my friend. Really means a lot. Thank you. 725 command points against 500. Dwarves are looking very, very strong. Hobbit, Samwise Gamgee is going to be taken down by the Gondor Knights. This farm is going to be taken down, and now this is going to be the snowball potential of the Dwarven faction, which is going to lead into a quick GG. And dude, we have seen 3 games so far in less than 25 minutes actually.